So I'm going to show you today some alternatives that you can use these single line files for. One of the things you can do is embossing. So if you have a Scan and Cut actually have their own embossing kit. So it comes with this mat. It's like a memory foam surface. You see that when I indent it. So it's nice and soft. Be careful to only use a good quality parchment, otherwise you do things like put holes in your mat very easily. If it does go through your parchment, this mat will damage very easily, but there's still plenty of other space to work on. This has only got a couple of nicks. I barely use this mat, to be honest. So yeah, so because it comes, and you can take it on and off mats, so it's a little tab that you pull, you can pull it off. But I find if you've got this is sticky and your mat's sticky, it's actually very hard to get off. So what I did is I got some A3 laminating sheets, opened the sheet out, and I put one piece of sheet, that piece of the backing goes onto my mat. Then I put the embossing mat on it. Top piece of laminating sheet keeps it all clean. Take that one off when you do your work. So you can just pop your parchment onto it. The parchment goes on, and because it's got a slightly tacky surface, it stops it all moving around, so you don't be needing to tape things down. You can tape the corners if you want to, but it's not really necessary. It stops it won't move around on it. But I did find if you put it on your mat, it's very hard to get off. So if you've only got one mat and you want to be using things, do it this way, and then you can take the whole of that off, and then you're back to your mat, and your embossing mat is all ready, enclosed in that laminating sheet to go away and be stored. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, if you don't have the embossing kit, how you can make your own mat for it. So you want something that is going to again be a bit sticky, but you're going to be able to take it on and off your mat a whole lot easier. So what we're going to need for that, if I just set that aside, I'll show you how I did it. You're going to need just some ordinary craft foam, 1.5mm. This one's a little bit too thick, but it's the last sheet that I've got to be able to show you how I made it. So 1.5mm you're going to be looking for. Anything thicker than that and it's too thick for the machine. So you're going to be wanting your craft foam. You're going to want some contact paper, clear contact paper, and what you're going to be doing, if I peel a corner of that contact paper is going to be going onto your mat, onto the foam, sorry. So you want a piece of contact paper as big as your mat. I'm just doing that as an example to show you. So you see it's very shiny, so we need to put something tacky on that surface, and it's not going to stick to it when it's got this shine. So we need some type of glue. The repositionable glue that we can use for re-sticking our mats is what we're going to use. But to get it so that it will hold onto that, if you have little nail files, these ones if you're doing manicuring, just cheap off eBay, if you go to the file edge one and just give it circular motions, and if you can see, I'll shine it in the light in a second, but everywhere that gives that a rub, that has now gone into a matte, like a satin matte coating, and now your glue will hold to that. So there's a few different ones you can use. My personal favourite is this one, the Alene to tack it over and over. That one, I think I've actually watered it down a bit because it got towards the end of the bottle, but when you get it, you're going to want 50% glue, 50% water, and you can use that for re-sticking your mats, but also that's what you're going to use to put on there. You can put it on with a little brush, your finger, if you don't mind getting your finger sticky. What else could you use? A little foam, piece of foam, and you could use even another piece of craft foam, fold it over and make a little brush from it, and that can go onto there. So that's your one option. That's my favourite, Alene to tack it over and over. This one is pretty much identical, but it comes already mixed with the water, so you're not getting as much value for money. But if you want, if that's easier to get hold of, that will do exactly the same thing. That one you use straight, you don't bother mixing any water. Another one you can use is the pin flare stencil glue. That's also repositionable, and you can use that to retacky any of your scan and cut mats. When that sticky goes, that's ideal for that. Again, it's very thick, so water it down a little bit and then one bottle's just gonna last you forever. I've just got different ones because I've tried them as experiments in the past. Something else that works are these Nuvo glue pens, and your glue is already in there, so you give them a shake up. This one's just really handy to use. There's another brand that you can use. I can't think of the name of it. Maybe you'll pop it down in the comments if anyone can think of it. But it's basically just a little foamy end, and then when you put that on, all you're going to do is put a little bit of glue over. You only need a thin layer. That you're going to cover the whole of the mat with that. You're going to just leave that to dry, half an hour or so. Give them a waft, it'll go a bit faster. And you're going to leave that aside then until you're ready. So here's one that I did this morning. So that side has got that sticky on it, so I've contact paper, sanded it very, very lightly with very, very fine sandpaper, and then it will hold that sticky really well. On the reverse side, I've also put the contact paper, but I haven't added any glue to it, and that is so that becomes a very good surface that's going to stick to your mats. So you can put that straight onto, get the mat the right way around, that can just go straight down onto your mat, and then that's not going to go anywhere. And then you can pop your parchment paper onto that, and again, that's not going to go anywhere, it's just going to hold in place. Yeah, so a few of the things that you can use for your tools, I'll leave that there so we can test as we go, and we can compare. So I've got, move them out the way, that's about as much off screen as I can get in. Okay, so lots of things we can use. If you've got the embossing kit, you will get a little holder, the cap turns off, and then you can swap these tools around. You get 3mm and a 1.5mm. So I've got two kits, don't ask me why, I don't know. So your tool just literally pops in there, and then you screw the lid on, and that's ready to go into the machine. So just to do a little test, there's our 3mm one. We'll do this over this side. There's our 1.5mm one to show you how that works. If you notice on the back of these, you've got lots of little grooves, just one that's got its bottom opened. Now that is what tells the machine it is for the embossing. So the other attachments for your machine will have different slots. So, but it doesn't mean you can't use it. If I stick that there, it doesn't mean you can't use them for embossing, because if you look, for instance, and you want to use your universal pen holder, when you turn it over, you can see there's two slots. They've got open bottoms. If we get a bit of Gorilla Tape or any thick tape, put that over the one. When we use that in the machine now, because it's only got the one slot showing, the machine is going to think that's the embossing tool, so you'll still be able to use the embossing feature on your machine. So things I found that work in these is, I stuck to my mat, the Cricut scoring tool works very well. I did find I had to put a little collar on it. It's just off another pen grip that I've taken off, fitted on there nicely, and it just stopped any movement. So that just pops in. There's my holder. Put in, locate it, tighten it up, and then that's good to go, and that would work the same as the 1.5mm. Maybe just a little bit of a sharper tip on it, so less pressure will be needed for that, for all the different pressure settings. Okay, so I'll pop that out. it doesn't want to come out, just give him a jiggle because he gets a bit stuck sometimes. Something else you can use in those are these nail art tools. So this end is a 3mm, this end is a 1.5mm. That will also work in here. What you will need to do is, this one, mine's quite thin, so I've put pencil grips on it. If you do have to use pencil grips, when you pop it in, do a clockwise motion as you're putting it in, locate it, lock it, and then that's ready to go, either as the 1.5 or the 3mm end. Maybe I'll leave it as the 1.5, and we'll use that one for our file in a bit. So did I do that one down? No, I didn't. So that's the 1.5mm end, and then that's the 3mm end and the nail tool, so you're going to get the same thing. Don't forget that little bit of tape is very important. Okay, something else you can use. If you're into doing the foiling, you may have bought one of their foil kits. So you'll be getting this holder, and you get these glue pens, and they don't last very long. Don't throw it away. This will act as an embossing tool. All you need to do, press the opening, pop them in, and then that is another embossing tool that again will do the equivalent of the 1.5mm line. It also comes, don't ask me why, I've got 2 of those ones as well, and I've lost the other one now actually. Where's it gone? Okay, I have another foil somewhere. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so we'll leave that in there. You also get a little burnishing tool. This is really good if you want to do any embossing and you want to do filling, because that will emboss and fill in sections, and that just pops in the bottom. And again, on that, just cover that hole up. The machine thinks it's an embossing tool. Do that with this one as well. Cover that up, and the machine thinks it's an embossing tool. So that will work every time. So you've got those ones. So there's your thick ones. On that side, these are going to be thin. The other thing you can use are these pen holders, 3D fun prints. The Cricut tool fits perfectly in there. Pop him in. Doing up. I think we already tested that one, didn't we? But yeah, so that's Cricut tool will work in your universal pen holder. It also works in this one as well. Give you a few options. Okay, so I'll be back with another video shortly, and we'll test a file using these items.